Have you ever considered what it means when a smaller country refuses to accept a policy dictated by a global superpower and instead pushes back on its own terms? This is the story of a West African nation that did exactly that, and in doing so, changed the conversation about power, fairness, and international diplomacy. The story begins with a policy move by the United States that many might have missed, but that has big implications. In August 2025, the United States announced a 12-month pilot program under the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 221, G3, which required some travelers from selected countries to post refundable visa bonds of up to $15,000 before they could receive B1 or B2 tourist or business visas. The stated goal was to curb high visa overstay rates and strengthen vetting for nationals of countries considered to have weaker screening. The list of affected countries was initially relatively small and focused on African nations with high overstay rates or screening concerns. Among these was Mali, a landlocked Sahel region country with a complex recent history of coup, security challenges, and shifting alliances. Mali had been a partner of the United States and Western governments in counter-terrorism efforts, but its 2021 military takeover changed the dynamics. When Mali was added to the U.S. visa bond program, with the policy effective October 23, 2025, and told its citizens applying for U.S. tourist or business visas would have to post bonds up to $10,000 or more, depending on risk, the stage was set for a diplomatic confrontation. Mali's government did not accept the move quietly. On October 13, 2025, Mali's foreign ministry publicly announced that, in line with the principle of reciprocity, American citizens seeking business or tourist visas to Mali would face identical bond requirements up to $10,000. The backstory here is important. Mali's leadership had grown increasingly frustrated with what it viewed as unequal treatment in the global system. Post-colonial legacies, travel restrictions that weighed heavily on African nations, and one-sided visa regimes that did not reflect mutual respect. Mali's pivot in foreign policy, moving away from traditional Western security partners and exploring ties with Russia and others, signaled that it was willing to test the status quo. So when the U.S. applied what Mali saw as a unilateral policy without consultation, and one that it believed violated a 2005 bilateral long-stay multiple-entry visa accord, Mali responded with a policy. What happened next is where things get dramatic. Mali's reciprocal bond requirement shocked many observers. It was rare for a smaller country to respond so quickly and so forcefully in the visa policy arena. In effect, Mali said, "If you give us this policy, we'll give you the same." That firm posture altered the power dynamic. Then, on October 23, 2025, the United States published a revised list of countries subject to the bond requirement. But Mali was removed. Although Mali's internal reciprocal policy, requiring United States citizens to post bonds, remains for now, the United States retreat signals that the diplomatic cost of forcing such measures may have been underestimated. It's an unusually swift reversal for a large state responding to a smaller one. Let's pause to look at why this matters beyond the bond dollar amounts. First, the tool of visa bonds might seem technical or bureaucratic, but in fact, it's a lever of diplomatic and economic power. Visa regimes, after all, are about mobility, access, dignity, and international standing. When a country is required to pay large refundable deposits as a condition of travel, the implications go beyond cost. They touch identity, equality, and sovereignty. Second, the principle of reciprocity is key. For many years, travel and visa rules were largely one way. African and Global South nationals face stricter entry regimes, while Western citizens often move more freely. Mali's move flipped the script, and policy reciprocity became a tool to challenge that imbalance. Third, this has precedent value. While 6 other African countries remain subject to the United States visa bond requirement, Mali's successful pushback may encourage others to follow similar tactics, or at least to negotiate differently. Fourth, the story signals a shifting global diplomatic environment. The old paradigm, where smaller states quietly accept rules set by big powers, is increasingly giving way to one where emerging and global South states assert themselves, not through protest, but through concrete policy steps. Mali's example suggests that international law and policy are not just about treaties or speeches. They are about who has the tools, who sets the agenda, and who refuses to play by outdated rules. Finally, there are broader economic and developmental dimensions. A migratory policy or visa bond scheme might inadvertently discourage legitimate tourism, business travel, and exchange programs. For a country like Mali, even the perception that travel has become costlier or less accessible can affect diaspora ties, remittances, and soft power. For the United States, these developments highlight that migration and mobility policy cannot be separated from diplomacy and global partnerships. In sum, what started as a technical pilot about visa bond deposits transformed into a diplomatic turning point. Mali's willingness to respond, to push back, and to assert equality, even if modest in scope, demonstrates how policy tools can be repurposed for strategic ends. For Mali, it was about dignity and standing. For Washington, it was a reminder that global policy moves carry consequences and that the era of unilateral rule setting is increasingly challenged. If this story resonated with you, if you care about fairness in global travel, about balanced diplomatic relations, and about how mobility equals respect, then please like, share, and subscribe so we can bring you more stories like this from Africa and around the world. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.